Welcome to Job chapter 21, our short videos following through our reading plan in Job as a church. We're back to it at the start of this new week. And this is the end of the second round two of the speeches. And so Job is kind of answering all of the comforters, even as he responds to Zophar. And in a sense, the summary, I guess to give you the summary of what he's saying, look, you comforters, you say bad things happen to bad people, and I totally agree with you, ultimately. But, have you read the papers recently? Have you seen the news? Have you just walked around and opened your eyes and seen what's going on around you? Because in this life, very good things happen to very bad people. And therefore, is it not possible that the righteous might experience bad things that they don't deserve before they get ultimate vindication? In other words, my case. So do you see the shape of Job's reasoning? He's saying, look, it's not true bad things happen to bad people. Good things happen to bad people. So therefore, could it not be possible that bad things could happen to good people? So let's dive in. So verses 1 to 6, we get this preamble that we're seeing repeated all through the speeches, really. Verses 2 to 3, kind of just want some quiet. Look, you can mock in a moment, you can carry on with your chat in a moment, but let me speak. Look, verse 4, the reason that I've been getting so worked up is that this isn't just my dispute with you, this is my dispute with God. And this really matters. This is my justification with God that's at stake. This is really, really important. And that's why I'm caring so deeply. That's why it's consuming me. That's why I'm speaking so passionately. And verse 5 to 6 is a reminder to the comforters, and in a sense, Job's reminder to himself of what he's gone through at two levels. One is the trauma he's experienced in losing everything. Remember the heights he's come from and the heights he's fallen to, all that he's lost, crashing down at every level. And when he thinks about it, he shudders. But I think it's deeper even than all of his loss. It's actually that he's experiencing something. I guess we sometimes use the expression, oh, it was a hellish experience. Well, that's what Job is experiencing. It's like a taste of hell. He's experiencing that which the wicked should experience of God's judgment on them. And yet he's God's friend. And this is absolutely causing him to shudder, not just what he's lost, his loved children, his security, his health, but it's his God. So Job isn't an armchair or pub chair theologian just chewing on the fat with his friends. He's in a wheelchair. He's in the morgue. His friends keep telling him he's on the road to hell. That's his situation. He's got three arguments as he kind of takes on the comforters. Verse 7 to 16. His argument is basically, look, the wicked, they're often really happy. They have happy lives. So here's the question to the comforters system. Why do the wicked live, reach old age, and grow mighty in power? Verse 7. Answer me that. Why does that happen? So Zophar said in chapter 20, verse 5, that the exalting of the wicked is short, and the joy of the godless is but for a moment. Job's saying it's quite a long moment, as far as I can see it. In the case of some, they seem to go on doing really, really well for a really long time. And verse 8 through to 13 kind of explains that and gives just some, you can sort of modernise the imagery if you want to. You could add flashy cars and nice holidays and sending kids to expensive schools and whatever it is that might be the case today. But the picture is very clear, isn't it? They do really well for themselves. And verse 14 to 16, they really are wicked. So it's not that it's a mistake. No, they really are wicked, but they're having a great life. But by the way, end of verse 16, I'm not joining in with the way they think against God. This isn't my way of life. Then verse 17 to 26, wicked people are rarely punished. So I guess that's the flip side of what Job's just said. They can be really happy and they're rarely punished. So Bildad in chapter 18 verse 5 has said that the light of the wicked is put out. And so far I've spoken about there's being a day of God's wrath. But Job's question is, well, how often? How often does that happen? How often is it that the lamp of the wicked is put out and that their calamity comes upon them? Yeah, it may happen, but how often, really, does that happen? Verse 19, to say, well, God stores it up for their children. Okay, maybe they get away with it, but their families get away with it. Well, how is that really fair? That it comes upon their children, and the wicked don't necessarily care. There's no skin off my nose if my children get it or my grandchildren, because I've had the time I wanted. Sadly, that's the attitude that you sometimes see or pick up from people. And so in verse 23 to 26, there are two different kinds of deaths compared. One is someone who's lives life to the full, and then the other is a life that's really hard. But at the end of the day, they're both in the grave. What was the difference? Wicked people are rarely punished. But then verse 27 to 33, there's the point that even in death, the wicked do okay. So you think you say, where is the house of the prince and where is the tent that the wicked live? Well, again, just ask those who go around, and they'll tell you where the great monuments are. They can point you in the direction of the great funerals, how people follow after the casket of wicked people who've really done well for themselves, and then everyone follows after them in another sense, that they live that way. That's the way to be. Is to make it, be the self-made, godless person who's just just lives for each moment and fills their life with all those pleasures, and gets away with it. That's still a kind of lifestyle, and so even in death, the wicked seem to prosper. So the rebuke, verse 34: how can you comfort me with empty nothings? Look, your system doesn't make any sense, and it's dishonest. There's nothing left of your answers but falsehood. It just doesn't make sense of what I see, what everyone sees, apart from you guys, in the world around. Well, what can we learn from this? How does this apply to us? Well, I think this is a really crucial point, isn't it? Is that we can't deduce from our circumstances or from anyone else's circumstances whether we're friends with God or not. You can't say, oh, that person's really happy, really healthy, really wealthy, God is blessing them. And you can't say, well, that person is really struggling and really suffering, and therefore God is against them. And we need to watch that in our own hearts as we look out at other people, but also as we consider ourselves. Maybe things are going really well for us. That doesn't necessarily mean that God is pleased with us. The issue for us is whether we're justified through faith in Christ, and whether we're joined to Jesus by faith and living that out. It's a real faith. It's not a dead faith. It's a real faith that changes our lives in all kinds of ways. And equally, if we're really struggling, we mustn't allow those doubts to become actual solid thoughts that, yeah, God hates me. I hate myself and God hates me. No, just because we're really struggling doesn't mean that. Christ has died for sinners. Are you a sinner? Have you put your faith in Christ? Then you are. Christ has died for you. You are loved and you are his. It's only the last day that will reveal the true situation for everyone. So we're told in 1 Peter 4 verse 5 that God is the one who will judge the living and the dead, that the hearts and minds of men and women all over the world are only truly open before him, and it's at that day that things will be revealed.